Well, it's almost Thanksgiving. Once again, we're going to be doing a 24-hour... I was going to say something funny about planes, trains, and automobiles, but I totally screwed it up.
Is Dutch Thanksgiving? I can't remember. Is it Thanksgiving or Christmas?
I think it's Christmas.
I think it's Christmas, too. Okay.
So, real quick, can I say something?
What would stop you if we said no?
May I say something? I mean,
you may say whatever you
tackle
want.
me and stop it.
You may say that you're a socialist. McCarthy, get him.
So,
McCarthy. Is McCarthy out there?
I had my
That is the name of the puppet, right? From it was McCarthy and
Joseph McCarthy, the puppet. Yes, the puppet of the right wing. Anyway, moving right along. I had my Star Wars hat on, and I had it on specifically so I could say that I finally got Disney Plus working. I know you guys, if you're following us out there, you were worried about that. And to say I'm really enjoying The Mandalorian. And then my 2-year-old took the hat off 5 minutes ago in his crib, and to get him to shut up, I let him have it. And then I give him the hat. Just the gog and the belt.
That's a belt and the gog.
There you go. I'm awful sleepy.
No, I just got it today, and I watched the first thing I watched, of course, Gummy Bears. But after I watched the first episode of Gummy Bears, because I got it and I was like,
James, they're everywhere.
No, they're bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Oh shit!
They have high adventures that
are beyond compare. They're the fucking Gummy Bears.
I haven't watched it in years.
I literally got it.
And somebody gave me shit for not watching Gargoyle. More than one person has given me shit for Gargoyles not being the first thing I watched. I didn't watch it when it was on.
That's actually a good example, and that's a good segue into our topic, because that has one of the more interesting villains.
Yes.
Because he doesn't start necessarily, you don't know. Spoiler, you don't necessarily know that he's a villain the way it starts.
Who?
I can't. These people that want to watch it that have never seen it before after 30 years.
And by the way, I didn't start with Gargoyles. I started with Darkwing Duck. Come at me.
When there's trouble, they call DW.
That's actually a lie. I started with Gummy Bears. At first, I was like, oh my god, does it have Milo Murphy's Law? And I watched 10 minutes of the Christmas one. I'm like, it does. I'm set.
Is that a Darkwing?
No, Milo Murphy's Law is Weird Al. It's by the people who did Phineas and Ferb.
Is it on there?
Yeah, and it crosses over with Phineas and Ferb the entire second season. It involves time travel. Turns out Dr. Doofenshmirtz, spoiler, created time travel. And
I wish I hadn't brought it up.
Yeah.
Mandalorian's good if you like Star Wars.
It is. Actually, you know what? I actually love Werner Herzog's character.
Oh, God, yeah.
But I haven't got to the third one yet, so don't ruin it.
It just keeps getting progressively better.
Yeah. Someone let my kid out of their crib.
And didn't shut the upstairs door, but...
No, they sure didn't. I don't know who let them out of the crib. I can imagine only one person, because he can't get out without getting them out. Anyway.
He sounds angry.
Moving right along. I've got to stop saying that.
Speaking of and we just keep coming back to Disney. So what is the topic of today's serial?
Disney villains.
Disney villains, because we brought it up during the musical episode, and we said, why not?
Yeah, why not do Disney villains?
Why not do Disney villains?
I mean, I would do a Disney villain.
Yzma. It's Eartha Kitt. I don't care how old she is.
Cruella de Vil, maybe?
No.
They're basically the same villain almost. Well, no. Yzma's pretty cool.
She's actually got some...
she's got more depth.
Yeah.
Than Cruella?
Cruella de Vil wants to wear fur coats. Yzma wants to rule a kingdom. And she uses potions.
I don't think I've ever seen The Emperor's New Groove.
Oh my god, how it's one of the most hilarious
I've only
Disney
seen
films.
scenes.
And I love it even more because of the non sequiturs where it actually calls out other Disney films. Like, yeah, I love it when Kronk pulls down the flow chart and goes, actually, if you look at it, this makes no sense.
And it's got some adult humor in it. Like, for example, when...
Really? Adult humor?
Kind of, basically, because when Kronk and Yzma are sleeping in the woods, she has a full tent, and he's only pitching one little tent. You want to guess where it's at?
I don't think I should let my child watch this.
You totally should.
Which, by the way, he knows Family Guy, and I don't watch a lot of Family Guy, but that and The Simpsons he'll watch, so I can DVR those and watch him while he's there.
Yeah.
And when he was leaving the basement this afternoon, it was Family Guy, and started taking them off the shelf.
Well.
It's lucky that there's a Family Guy.
I hear. So, gentlemen, let's get started. Who is your favorite Disney villain?
You want to start?
Okay,
in no specific order.
Man, yeah, because so I have two favorite Disney villains of all time.
Hold on, let me open this loudly while you do this.
I will say this. So when we first started talking about this, I kind of
started talking.
I've got braces.
Oh, that's right. I can't see them.
They're behind my teeth. So I am going to have a lisp because I just got them a day ago. So I'm still learning.
Can I do a joke?
Go ahead. I don't care.
Never stopped him before. Why does he ask now? He mocks me all the time.
Did you get that or the first pube first?
We're still waiting.
That's not even a very good joke.
No.
Like he acted like he had something worth saying.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be something a little rougher. But
so how bad did it hurt?
It didn't hurt until they couldn't get the right. Apparently, they can't get the right size. There's different size wires they can put on in the braces, and they couldn't quite get one to fit mine. So they had the dentist had to make one specifically for me.
So, what if this affects our ratings? There's the joke.
No.
Yeah.
So how long do you have to wear braces?
A whole year.
That's my son has to do it for at least a year.
Yeah.
I've got if I need them because my teeth are jacked up.
If a year from now he goes, we need to keep it on 6 more months, I'm going to punch him in the crotch and say, take them off.
Okay. You can probably just say take them off.
Yeah.
I don't know. You need to punch anybody in the crotch.
No, I'll do it just for the show. So
if you do it, Chad, since we're talking about animation, I've always thought this would be a great animated scene that I don't think exists. As you do it, could you speed back?
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen that in some movies.
Yeah, that's in some movies.
Yeah, but it's not. Is it? I think that
has to be animated somewhere in a movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. Perverted fans, can you send us your favorite animated speed bag growing scene?
I'm the only perverted fan. I don't listen to this shit.
No, so when we first started talking about this after we recorded the musical episode, I pretty much guessed what our picks were going to be right there and then.
Mm-hmm.
So I have two favorites that I was struggling with who to pick first, and I want to pick one because I think James will take it from me.
Yes.
And the other one, I think James may take it from me.
Well, go first, Stutter John.
I'm gonna. I'm going to pick one.
I just started out with the low one.
Yeah.
There's about 6 more ready to go. Keep going.
All right.
We're going to just...
So, my first villain is probably in my favorite Disney movie of all time. And she is actually not in it until an hour into the movie, and even then she's only in it for 10 minutes.
What?
The marvelous, the magnificent, Madam Mim.
So... Really quick, I was talking to Christy about this, and she was trying to remember that. I said, no, it's the blah, 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 because I've been reading the actual book by T.S. White, T.L. White.
Which Disney got the rights to in 1939.
It's The Sword and the Stone.
Yeah. That's one he wanted to make himself.
So, true story, Christopher Lee, it was one of his favorite books, and he read it every year.
Oh, really?
I don't care for it.
the book or the movie?
I love the movie as a kid.
Yeah.
I don't care for it. A lot of shit in that movie is not in that book.
Well, no shit, yeah.
But you know who is?
Madam Mim is?
Is that whole sequence is in that book.
I see, I did not
know that. I would
imagine
that'd be one of the more memorable sequences in the book.
It is. There's
because
a ton, because
stool.
he fiddles a lot with Robin Hood, and then they go off and they often become birds and snakes and whatnot throughout the book. And some of the subtle differences, I'll let you get into it, because I don't know if either I'm the only one read it, right?
Yeah,
I read it when I was a kid. But
I never read it. I don't care for it. I'm having a hard time. I've still not finished it. It's been 6 months. I'll go and start reading something else. But his brother's not really that big of a dick.
No, well,
it's not his brother in the movie either.
Yeah, it's his brother in the book.
Okay. Yeah. So the thing about the movie...
He's not that put upon.
Yeah. I still love the movie.
Wart.
Yeah. I still love the movie. And my kids, I actually got them hooked on it because I was watching it to prepare for this episode. And Haley's made me watch the Madam Mim part 5 times. She'll go, Daddy, just fast forward to the witch part.
So that comes 2/3 into the movie?
It doesn't, for a whole hour.
I didn't remember. See, because it's actually in the first third of the book.
Oh, yeah, no, an hour in, and then they do their battle, and then she's off. I lost my train of thought. The one thing I have about the movie now, I loved it as a kid. It's the only one it's the only Disney anime movie that I watched repeatedly.
I loved it as a kid too.
I feel like there's not really much of a plot there. It's just
there's not a villain. I mean, she is. The villain,
she's the villain. But in terms of what Merlin's doing with Arthur, there's really nothing there. And then the whole Sword and the Stone is the very last minute of the movie. I can't. Now that I'm talking fast, the lisp is coming worse.
It's fine. I'm enjoying it. But there's not really a villain for the book.
No.
And he hangs out with Robin Hood for probably a third of the book and different other kind of adventures too. And they don't do any of that in the movie.
No.
And that part comes at the first part of the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And can I spoiler for the book? Would you want it?
No, spoiler. Go ahead.
She dies.
Madam Mim does?
Oh, he kills her.
Oh, wow. In the same way?
Basically.
Okay. By the way, I'm going to cover that too. But no, Madam Mim, The Sword and Stone, 1963. Again, a year in history where nothing important happened.
It took me a second. I was like, that's when Kennedy got shot, dumbass. And then I realized...
That's when the sales of those convertibles declined.
Yeah. He was animated. She was animated by Mick Call and Frank Thomas. Mm-hmm. Two historic animators that had worked on Disney since the beginning. They actually worked on Snow White. And
Thomas and Ollie. They did an entire documentary about Thomas and Ollie.
Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. It was voiced by Martha Wentworth. Hmm? Martha Wentworth.
I don't know who that is.
She didn't really do much. She was in TV shows here and there. She had small parts in movies. Mm-hmm. She did some Disney work, but nothing as significant as Madam Mim. Mm-hmm. Why do I like her? The woman's absolutely nuts. Yes. All she wants to do is be left alone and be vile to anyone who enters her domain. The sequence of her opens up with her cheating at solitaire. Just cheating herself for no reason. She has one of the best cackles, too. Mm-hmm. She is not, again, I mentioned that already. And the battle scene between her and Merlin is one of the most entertaining scenes in Disney animated history, in my opinion. And this is a quote from Frank Thomas from the D23 website. Madam Mim is a contrast of wild actions and restraint with unexpected outbursts, accenting her overall timing. Her song, Madam, God bless, I can't keep saying it, Madam Mim, mm-hmm. was actually written by the Sherman Brothers, the great Sherman Brothers, who did not get along. Contrary to what Saving Mr. Banks says.
If you watch there's a documentary about them as well, which I do recommend you watch, because they get the compliment all the time. If you've seen the documentary, they've been stopped several times, and people have said, my favorite work for Disney, and they always said, well, Disney's favorite work was Feed the Birds from Mary Poppins that they did. Yeah. They used to have them come in and play it on a Friday, and they said the one that we got the most though, when we actually talked to people, no, I love your work on Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and they're like that was the one project we didn't do
for Disney. Yeah, and I honestly I forgot that Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was not a Disney movie either.
Itty Gitty Bang.
I can't talk.
Itty Bang. No, I'm trying to say Itty Bitty Gang Bang.
There's actually another one that's worse than that I will not say, but ask me when we're not recording.
Okay.
Does it rhyme with Big Titty?
No, it's worse.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we're going to... now you got my interest peaked.
No, the Witty Titty Hang Dang.
So, spoilers, by the way.
It's one witty titty.
Spoilers about the sequence. So,
that Mark Twain quote.
A true friend stabs you in the front. That was one witty titty. Said Conway.
Oh my God! Now Bucko is going to pop up in the cornfield. Tell us what to watch next.
Oh, Conway Twitty and the itty bitty witty twitty. The witty titty.
Oh God, this is never going to get shared by Disney proper.
Nope.
Conway Twitty, no really witty titty. How witty was that? I'm so sorry. I've got to stop.
No.
Keep going.
So anyway. So, if you haven't seen Sword and Stone, please get your Disney Plus account and watch it. But I'm going to spoil something for you, so if you don't want to be spoiled, don't listen. So the main sequence is she's battling Merlin in a wizard's duel, which that's the whole lead up to that is where she goes and chest bumps him, going, "You want to fight, do you?" And she slaps him in the face. But anyway, so the whole point is they're changing.
Now I want to watch.
It still holds up.
It's a great scene.
It's a great scene. 10 minutes of pure joy. But the whole point is they're changing into different animals, trying to one-up one another. And Merlin wins by becoming a virus.
Yes.
Hold on, I gotta find it. The American Journal of Infection Control actually wrote an article diagnosing Madam Mim.
Oh, yeah.
Turns out it's measles.
Oh.
So, Madam Maxine didn't her parents didn't vaccinate her.
Nope.
Vaccinate your kids.
Take that, Jenny McCarthy.
Now, Merlin gives
That's one witty titty.
Good Lord. God. So, Merlin...
See in court.
He tells her this long, drawn-out thing, but they looked at the symptoms and said, it's measles.
So it can be long and drawn out without medication.
Yes. So
it's just the way you said.
Yeah.
Yes, James.
I mean,
in my research about Madame Mim, one of the cool things I found out is she actually had a pretty successful post-sword career in terms of Disney. Madame Mim appeared in many of the Disney comic books.
Oh, really?
For years. She met the Phantom Bolt, which I guess was a popular Disney villain, and the Beagle Boys.
Oh, yeah, the Beagle Boys.
And she even appeared on a cover with Goofy, Donald, and Mickey in one of the comic books of theirs. In 1968 premiere issue of The Wonderful World of Disney, she was actually chosen as the Monster of the Month and was the magazine's centerfold. It was her as the dragon. Shut up.
But you know what? That gets to a point. What I love about Madame Mim, as she even says in her theme song, is that she could be the most beautiful creature on the planet.
Yes.
She has that power. She doesn't want to be.
No.
She wants to be as hideous and mean and ugly as she can be. And that endears me to her.
Yeah.
So what's your excuse, James?
Much the same. I want to be left alone. I want to beat myself in solitaire. I also would like to do a wizard's duel, but it's because I don't know magic, and I figure that'll end my suffering.
I mean, just the way she goes, like when she's talking about Arthur or Wart, she goes, "Yes, you are. Merlin must like you for everything that you're good in and great and wonderful, and that's why I must destroy you, dear boy." Just out of nowhere. Yeah, Madame Mim, #1 villain for me.
I think that's a good choice. And it's
James,
funny because I was
list?
talking about this afternoon.
Actually, that was 5 on my list because I had a backup, and that was one.
All right, James, go.
I'm going to go with one, and I know that y'all know I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to go with Ratigan, and here is why I'm going with
There's
Ratigan.
no shock there that his is Ratigan.
Ratigan
I'm going to do my #1 first. Yeah.
Ratigan wins.
I don't remember.
Ratigan, I mean, he doesn't win by the end of the movie, but in one of the songs that he sings, he says, "From the brain that brought you the Big Ben caper and the Tower Bridge job, there's a cut scene that tells what the Tower Bridge job was. The Tower Bridge job is where they would wait on a bridge and he would have his cronies throw people overboard. And if they drowned, they would loot their bodies later and get their money and stuff. If they could swim and got out, they shot them." They cut that line because they thought it was a little much for kids.
Yeah.
But those are 2 jobs that he lists that he did successfully. So he has been a successful villain. That's actually the entire plot. If you watch The Great Mouse Detective, where Ratigan's a villain, and he is voiced by Vincent Price, so it automatically endears him.
Yeah, it's a double shot for you because it's a Sherlock Holmes cartoon and it's Vincent Price.
But he is Moriarty to Basil's Holmes. And they have, I think Basil even has a line. He's been pursuing him 20 years. He's successful. He is the villain that has succeeded several times.
Do you want to talk a little bit of why they probably called him Basil?
Yeah, because I was going to ask you that if you had...
Basil Rathbone. Basil Rathbone, actually, if you watch the Disney movie...
is the most famous person.
And if you watch the movie, there's a part where you hear Sherlock Holmes. That's an archival recording of Basil Rathbone and Sherlock Holmes.
Oh.
And Watson, the actor that played Watson.
Not only was he the one who played him the most probably on television or in film, he's also the one who played him the most, I think, on radio.
Yes. And I've actually got the complete Sherlock Holmes with Basil. And they're fun. I mean, they still hold up. And
they're great. I listened to them going out west, and we loved them.
A lot of the stereotypes that are now linked with Sherlock Holmes, like the deer stalker, they're all Basil Rathbone. None of that is necessarily in Conan Doyle. But they are based on a series of books. Basil of Baker Street is a series of kids' books that obviously Disney bought the rights to. But I love Ratigan because in some ways, you want him to win. Not at the end when everything goes sideways, but you look at there's poverty, things are going bad. Mrs. Flavisham, Mrs. Flammerhammer? Flavisham. Anyway, her father's a toy maker, but they're not doing that well financially. There's an indication that since her mother died, they're working class, all that stuff. They're making it, but not. And then you see the queen of Mousedom, and she's kind of feeble. Not physically feeble. She's not doing much to address the needs of Mousedom. So there's part of me that
did any royalty?
And that's what I'm saying. Part of you looks at at Ratigan and says, could he do worse? Yeah. I mean, it's going to be crooked, but maybe people won't be starving.
Right.
And so I think Ratigan is also appealing that way because he's one, he's intelligent, and you get a queen that doesn't appear overly so. I mean, she's duped by her own own robot likeness of her. She's like, what's this? Well, obviously it's not really you. Run from it. But the other thing is he kills. Mm-hmm. We see him kill, and there's only 2 Disney villains on screen that directly kill. He's one of them. So I think he's just intelligent. He's brilliant.
Who's the other?
Somebody who you might bring up.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, actually, that one's not considered direct. If it's the one we were talking about before the show.
Yeah, and then I don't know who the second one is.
It may be my backup if one of y'all steal mine, so I'm not going to say it. But I think that's what makes Ratigan. Because Ratigan, take away Dr. Dawson.
But he lets him go.
If by some chance...
I'm sitting here going, I know who you're talking about now.
If by some chance Dr. Dawson would not have met up, Ratigan would have completely won. Because when he traps Basil in the trap near the end of the film, and he does the great goodbye song, where he just taunts him, he has a pre-recorded goodbye song to mock him as he leaves, and Basil's defeated. And it's actually Dr. Dawson that goes, are you just going to set the air and if you want to die, let's just set the trap off now. And it's not till Dr. Dawson says that and inspire Basil that Basil snaps out of it and decides he wants to live. But up until that point, Basil's like, no, he's smarter than I am, he wins. That's what makes Ratigan a great villain. He's smarter, he's faster, and actually, I would argue, now at the end of the movie, and you can see the exact moment when it happens, when he becomes a rat. He is always a rat, and that's the other thing. He is mentally imbalanced. He wants to just be viewed as a big mouse. He's a rat. When he turns into the rat, there's almost this werewolf-like transformation. The cape gets ripped off, his eyes go red, and he becomes the monster that everybody assumed he is. But until that point, he's very suave. Matter of fact, he snaps when his henchman calls him a rat, but Basil calls him a rat twice. And his response the first time Basil calls him a rat, he closes his pocket watch. Basil can't trigger his anger. He's more likely to get angry at a henchman for misspeaking than he is Basil because he sees himself as superior. And that makes him a great villain to watch.
I wonder if they wrote that much into it or if James was projecting.
Oh, maybe.
It doesn't matter.
I'm going to go
once again, Joe, it's one of those things that it doesn't matter what they meant. Once you put out a piece of art, it becomes, critique.
That's what people told us about, what was that piece of shit we did? Oh, yeah, no, I'm joking. Murder Virgin. All right. So,
I thought you were talking about the name of everything we've done.
Everything we've done. Every episode. I should have said this at the beginning, but most of this is melodrama. And what's the key to any great melodrama?
It's villain.
It's villain. And the villain gets to win every battle except which one?
The last one.
The last one, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes a great villain. The best villain makes the best movie. And I'm sitting here going back and forth about what I want to do when I'm listening to YouTube because there's a funny one and then there's a not funny one. And I was going to say the not funny one, but I think it just rolls right into what James' ending of. I've only ever wanted to make one Disney film live action. For anybody who knows me, I'm just a failed direct filmmaker. But my dream project would have been to do Sleeping Beauty. It has pretty much that and Macbeth to me are the 2 classic stories that have everything when we were talking about favorite genres.
You hear that Shakespeare? He says Hamlet's nothing.
It's not for me.
Oh, I know. Titus Andronicus is my favorite.
It's not for me.
Titus Andronicus too.
It's got witches. It's got blood. It's got people killing.
When is Disney going to adapt Titus Andronicus?
So, my favorite villain.
What's wrong,
Villain, not fun villain is Maleficent.
Yeah, we knew we both.
But I thought I'd go a different way, but I can't. It is Maleficent, and plus she's got one of the greatest lines. Now you must deal with me and all the powers of hell.
Yeah.
And she turns into an effing dragon. Yep. And it's one of the coolest, most striking images when she comes on, and she's so elegant. And by the way, I couldn't give 2 shits about Sleeping Beauty or Aurora, but it was my mom's favorite
Well, and
so it's kind of
and this is
genetically now. I guess it's because I heard it so much. It's one of my favorite fairy tales, if not my favorite.
And it's all because she didn't get invited to the party.
Yeah.
I mean that's to me. It's like going back on mine. Ratigan thinks he could be a better ruler. Fine, I get that. Maleficent is willing to burn the kingdom to the ground just because her invite got lost in the mail.
Right.
I agree.
And the other thing about Sleeping Beauty, and this isn't about the villain. Sleeping Beauty is an odd one in the Disney history because Sleeping Beauty, nor the prince, nor anybody else, those aren't the main characters in the movie. The three fairies are the main characters, and then Maleficent is really, and she's not in it a lot.
No.
She just like Madame Mim.
People talk about her a lot, but she's not in it a lot.
And she carries a huge presence to this day. I mean,
she's in the opening. Then she couldn't be in that movie more than 10. And actually, the last 10 minutes is her as a dragon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. She doesn't. She curses her a curse that's probably worse than death.
And
right?
and the sound effect of her whenever she slams down her staff. That.
Well, and isn't the curse that she will die?
Yeah.
And it's the fairies that they can't stop it.
Yeah, no.
But they will preserve it, right?
Yeah, because the three fairies are the three fairies
living sleep.
The three fairies there on her christening are there to give her gifts, and Flora and Fauna give her the gifts of beauty.
Chad has watched this since me.
No,
yeah.
I was going to say,
and then Merryweather.
Their gifts are very vain.
Yes, but until Maleficent shows up, and then Merryweather still has her gift to give, and that's when she turns into, "You will sleep, you won't die."
Which, by the way, can you not Walmart a fairy gift? Like, I know I gave you beauty, but I tell you what, instead of beauty, what I'm going to do is give you resistance to evil magic. How about that? Take that, Maleficent.
I can't remember if it's from Cinema Blend or some other one, and I'll give credit for it later when I'll type it up and give them credit. Few moments in the Disney canon can top Maleficent transforming into a fire-breathing dragon to take out the heroic Prince Philip.
Except Madame Mim turning into a dragon.
Sleeping Beauty is a gorgeous piece of art, but its villain is just about the very best Disney has to offer.
Well, it's huge,
and
right?
Maleficent's minions are plenty scary too, even if the fierce Maleficent is the smarter boy. But boy, once she turns into that dragon, all bets are off, and I agree.
Well, and it's the hues, right? The fire is green.
It's green. It's purple. It's beautiful. So if you don't know, if you're a Disney fan like three of us, and you've been to Disney quite a bit, I finally got to deal to Disneyland a few years ago. And one of the things I was most excited about is at Disney World, Cinderella's castle. And it's much bigger and it's a little more elaborate, but most of it's forced perspective. The actual castle in Disneyland is why the hell couldn't I think of Sleeping Beauty? I almost said Sleeping Beauty. It's Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
And you can walk through it, and it's so small, but I enjoyed it so much because I was excited to do it. I don't know. There is a Maleficent over on my shelf. There's a wind-up one. There's also a stuffed one. There she is next to Alf up here on the top shelf.
My daughter Abby.
It's a striking image that I even kind of like the Angelina Jolie movie. The first, I never bothered to watch the second one.
Yeah, the second one, most people have actually said is better, and it gets closer to what we saw in the.
Yeah.
But
no, my Haley, when she's not watching Sword of Stone, she's now watching Sleeping Beauty, and my daughter Abby, for the whole year of 3, she's like, "Daddy, I want to watch The Bad Lady." That's what Maleficent was.
Well, now I know why you've seen it many more times than I have. I have seen Toy Story quite a bit. Would you like to talk about that?
No.
None of the villains that are in here. I swear to God, though, this afternoon I was watching Toy Story 3. It was almost going to be Lotso.
I thought you were going to put Lotso
but I took it off because I was just watching it again going, I want to just a
This was going to be one of my backups, but actually you've already mentioned Toy Story. Do you think Sid grows up to be a serial killer?
No.
I don't know. Have you guys rewatched Toy Story lately? Because God, I have. It's a little bit more adult than I remembered it.
No, yeah, it's very adult.
It's 3 withstanding. I'm talking about the first one. There's a lot of adult jokes. There's a kiss-ass joke that I don't even remember that Christy laughs at every single time, where Mr. Potato Head takes his lips off and starts giving his butt. Sorry.
Dr. Nappy Time.
No, so to answer James' question about Sid, no, he doesn't become a serial killer. He's a garbage man.
Is he?
Oh, that's true.
In Toy Story 3.
That's true. You're right.
Can you see him?
Yeah, you see him when they're taking the trash out. You see somebody wearing Sid's shirt, so it's implied that that's Sid.
I don't remember that, and I've had to watch it 2 or 3 times. By the way,
now you've got a new reason
even
to
this
watch
afternoon, I watched Toy Story 3 again. When he gives those toys to Bonnie,
it breaks your heart.
Every single.
Have you seen Toy Story 4?
No.
It's not. To me, it didn't have the impact as 3 did.
Well, I think 3 was a perfect way to end it. I still want to see 4, but I
Toy
don't
Story
know.
4. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, Toy Story 4. It didn't have the impact on me as 3 did, but there were a couple people in the theater, not quite to the level of 3 where that guy was sobbing.
Sobbing behind us.
But
I was teary-eyed too.
No, I agree. If there's something about
when she gives that, and it's when when he gets to Woody.
And I'll be honest, the older
and you can see him Andy pulls him back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a couple.
Took him to college with him.
There's a couple episodes of things that I was watching today with my kids that get to me, and I think partially because I have kids now. But no, I agree. But there's the ending of 4 got to a couple people in the theater I was in. And to me, I was like, well, it makes sense. Like it is touching, but I just don't think in top 3. But anyway.
All right, who's up?
So since James went with Radigan, I can now say my second tied for all-time favorite villain, Hades.
Oh yeah.
From Hercules.
None of these are shock. In fact, the only one that's a slight shock. It's not a shock because I was talking about this afternoon, but we talked about these the other night.
Yeah, I know because
Madam Mim, I think, is a good one. Yeah, I'm glad we started out with that one.
But what I like about Hades is he's played with some humor.
Yes.
But in all honesty, I've always thought that was the weirdest thing about Hades, just as not the Disney character, as a character. So your brother's Zeus.
Yes.
And you draw the straw of, okay, you're going to rule Hades, and we're going to make sure it sucks.
Every time you all say Hades, I think of Sling Blade. That's how we have to go to Hades. Do you all remember this?
No.
No, I haven't seen
Instead of saying hell.
I don't remember it.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't seen
French fried Hades.
Oh my God! Can we open a restaurant called French Fried Hades?
Like what do you sell?
And
mustard and Hades.
But anyway, I've always thought that Hades.
God, that was terrible. How did Billy Bob do
that? Hades is such a sympathetic character, in actual mythology, because even his own bride, she can only stay with him half a year. Yeah. And then she has to go back up to the surface. So I'm like, dude, you drew every short straw. And
did he?
The only parallel I can think it to him, and somebody made this argument before, he's Batman.
Yeah.
Everything that happens to him is terrible.
Yeah.
But no, and he's voiced by who?
James Woods, who, God help us, he's been in so many of my favorite movies, but he's batshit crazy now.
Well, he's a 70-year-old white man. There's something about white guys once they get to a certain age. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Like society, they just need to
start. So what you're saying, Joe, is crackers of a certain age.
I do. They go crackalicious for some odd reason. They just like there's somebody's taking away their dolls. It makes no sense.
No, so Hades, he's conniving, manipulative, and genuinely evil. However, he is also the funniest of all Disney villains, in my opinion.
It's him and Yzma.
Yeah,
I think they could have dated.
But yeah, but
I think they could have.
But Hades, the way he delivers his lines, because he can be absolutely hysterical and sarcastic.
Is my hair
1 second, yeah, and then the next minute, absolutely evil. He will take your soul, but he will be very sarcastic while doing it. He also has 2 great lackeys, in my opinion. In Pain and Panic, voiced by
Matt Frewer and Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah, you can't get a better.
I honestly cannot tell you 5 things about Hercules. The movie. Did it come out in the 90s?
Yes,
it did. Actually, one of my favorite parts about it too is
7.
It's.
I came out when I was in college. I think there's about like Atlanta. There's a bunch of them there that I don't have any recollection of.
It's Hermes, played by Paul Schaefer. I love him play because they basically just animated Paul Schaefer and made him fast. Yeah. And I laugh every time because I'm like, that's totally Paul Schaefer.
And Hermes has always, ever since I was a kid, he was always my favorite Greek god.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't have a favorite Greek god. You guys think about favorites more than me.
I love Greek.
Do you read a lot of Greek mythology?
I love Greek mythology.
I think I miss most of it.
You need to actually.
I think, honest to God, I think I'll study in the Civil War.
Why would you, Joe, being in Eastern Kentucky, spend more time?
Because they spend a lot of time on it in Eastern Kentucky.
So my commentary on Hades and how much his life sucked.
Something tells me that history book's a little skewed back there.
I mean, they called it the War of Northern Aggression, but I don't remember what.
Do you know anything about?
They bleeped out Yankee. It was wide star asterisk. We ain't allowed to say the Y word.
Do you know anything about how Hades before James Woods got it?
No.
In my doing my research, this is why I wanted to talk about Hades even more.
Is it hard to brush your teeth?
Yes.
Okay.
Originally, Hades was supposed to be played by Jack Nicholson.
Oh.
That would have been interesting. Yeah. I don't know if it would have been better. No offense meant, Jack.
He was
if he watches the show. I'm going to get those boneheads. I don't know. I don't even know who I'm doing.
He sounds like a Disney villain. I'm going to get those. Or a Scooby villain?
Yeah. I would have got away with that too if it wasn't for those Bentland boneheads.
I would have got those boneheads if I hadn't been at a Lakers game nailing this chick.
Spike Lee.
So, Hades was actually originally intended to be a more dramatic villain. And was originally drawn to resemble Jack Nicholson. However, Nicholson, in Nicholson fashion, demanded $15 million and wanted half the profits from merchandising.
Smart, if they'd have given it to him.
But isn't that about what he got for Batman?
Yeah, I think it's something crazy.
Because he technically made more off of Batman than anybody else and continues to still make
Batman made him, I think, not a multi, but like $100 millionaire.
Yeah. Of course, Disney has a little bit more sense in that and said, no. So Nicholson left the project. So William Dafoe, David Bowie, and John Lithgow all auditioned for the part.
They made them audition?
Yes. John Lithgow was passed on because his portrayal was actually too serious. James Woods came in, didn't think he was right for the part at all. So when he read the lines, he thought he would have a little fun while doing it because he just didn't think he was going to get it. So he took on the role of a sleazy car salesman. And right away, the creators loved that take. And they immediately started redoing the script and the character himself. So that Hades was redrawn right after that.
Which actually, we've talked about this before outside of recording. Ray Wise's Lucifer from Reaper is a used car salesman type character. There's something that works so well for Kings of the Underworld.
No, but James Wood, he really loved doing the part, so much so that he doesn't want to let go of it. Shocker, James Woods.
I wouldn't want to.
No, he just recorded, but he didn't. He recorded recently new. For Disney World.
Yeah.
He had any times Hades is on the screen, he does the voice. He
did for House of the Mouse.
Yeah, and he's currently voicing the upcoming Kingdom Hearts game as well.
I don't blame him. So I've thought about this before too. I've because I know Tom Hanks's brother does his voice for, I don't know if you guys knew this or not. Tom Hanks's brother does his voice for the games and for the toys and
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's his brother. And a lot
Alfred
of other
Hanks?
I don't know what his damn brother's name is, to be honest about it. But I thought, and I saw Sarah Silverman talking about, no, she does all of hers, is it Twitch or whatever?
No,
Glitch?
It's Penelope Schweetz.
But Glitch?
She glitches, that's her power, but she's Penelope Schweetz.
Well, yeah. I would too. I would have to have it in my contract that if I don't, and
at least write a first refusal.
If they could pay me scale, as long as they paid me, I'd do it. I'd want to be the voice every time.
But I don't think it's ever going to happen.
I don't even think it'd be about the money. It would just be that was me.
Yeah. Well, but because I think about and credit. Speaking of Toy Story, we talked about it a little bit there. Toy Story having to recast Jim Varney, and I think they did a great job.
Yeah, they do. It's hard to tell, but how are they going to replace Mr. Taterhead?
They used spoiler. I mean, they use they recorded so much dialogue with Don.
No, I know they are for 4, but how do you do more Mr. Potato Head?
Don Rickles recorded a lot of footage across multiple films. All you gotta do is pay the rights and edit it.
Huh. I thought he just did Toy Story 4 before he died.
They add some of the dialogue. And by the way, in Toy Story 4, again, will we see a Toy Story 5? Yeah, because Toy Story 4 made more than 3. So, yeah, we'll eventually see 5. But I don't want to give it away since y'all haven't seen it. It sets up a way that you're not going to need all those characters anymore.
Okay. Right. No, so the last thing I'll say about Hades, other than Hades is magnificent as a Disney villain, and it just came out of left field because Hercules is not a strong movie. Well, it's not.
I've seen it and have no recollection.
I'm not. Actually, though,
that and the Hunchback of Notre Dame are the two that are just right there.
But again, the villain in Notre Dame, though.
Oh, and actually has one of the creepiest songs, the Hellfire song for Frollo.
Yeah, Frollo.
Frollo's Hellfire song. I remember watching it.
Frollo, bitch. That's an inside joke between the boatheads.
Frollo.
But you ever got a Rolo?
No.
No, I can't eat caramel anymore.
Oh, because of your diabetes?
No.
Or because of your, almost said sideburns.
But the other thing about Hades...
You should grow them out and nothing else.
That Hades...
you look like a villain from Super Mario.
Hercules, I love it because of the voice cast. Because who's Hades' trainer? Why am I blanking on
You mean Hercules? That would be Danny DeVito?
Thank you.
No, the cast is a fantastic.
Well, no, so it's got one of the best Disney casts. I know some people say Robin Williams for Aladdin. And by the way, Robin Hood, the voice cast, is phenomenal. The problem was that's the last film they did where they weren't all names.
Yeah.
Because Robin Williams signed on to it, and then after that, everybody had to be a name, and you lost Jodie Benson type characters and stuff.
You know, one of the cool things about Hercules, and I do love Hercules. I'm just saying it's not one of the strongest of Disney cartoons, but the cast in it. But one of the great jokes about Hercules, when Hercules goes to get Danny DeVito's character to coach him, train him, Danny DeVito's character goes, "I've got one word for you, son. I'm retired," and slams the door. And people thought that was just a joke because he couldn't count. No, if you go back to original Greek language, "I'm retired" actually is one word. I just thought that was cool.
Well, it is. I have no recollection of any of this.
The other thing that I like about
I love Hercules.
The villain. Hades is the villain, but there's characters that appear villainous as well. Actually, the true villains that Hades unleash is the Titans, which actually goes back. Zeus defeated the Titans. That's mythology, and became the god.
Yep.
Because the Titans were the old world rulers, and then later on, Zeus, you see later on, met his end when he met a Jesus.
Yeah.
There's actually a mythology that examines how Jesus unseated Zeus historically.
And then Jesus...
Jesus won in a runoff election.
No, anyway, but I say that because
voter fraud,
part about it, though, is
fake news. It's up in the New Testament.
Stupid electoral college.
The other part about it is,
that's a terrible joke.
You get the Titans, which are villainous, and they're cool looking. They don't do much, but they're cool looking. Actually, Hades has that great line there where they come out and they're destroying everything, and he goes, "Fellas, Olympus is that way," and they turn around.
Right, yeah.
And it's the fates, cutting people's lives.
Everything about
that imagery is it's mythological. It's in the mythology, but it's just cool to see.
And then the Hydra battle too. But anyway, so yeah, Hades. It was between him and Madam Mim. It was my number one villain of all time.
James,
I'm gonna go with what Hades could have been, and I'm gonna go with what may be the darkest Disney villain of all time.
I think I know where he's going.
The Horn King.
Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
Black Cauldron.
Again, I knew this was coming.
Because what does every villain in Disney have, except for the Horn King? And he has a little
song?
bit of no.
An origin story?
A laugh. Watch the Horn King. The only time he laughs, he does it sarcastically to mock someone.
I watched the Black Cauldron for the first time a few years ago. Was it with you all?
No, it wasn't with me. I watched it alone.
With his cutting knife.
Again, I watched it alone a couple years ago because I never seen it.
I remember when they used
I liked it.
I did.
I did.
But none of it stuck with me except who's the Horn King's voice? John Hurt?
John Hurt. John Hurt does the voice of the Horn King. So the Horn King, interestingly enough, if you go back to the source material, the Horn King is actually a combination of two different characters from the book series. So this is based on a book series. The Black Cauldron is based on a book series, and that book series is it's called the Chronicles of Prydain, which is actually a book series. Prydain. The Horn King is a character, But they basically said, well, the Horn King doesn't have enough of a background, and you argue, actually, he doesn't have much of one in the movie. He's just evil incarnate.
Yeah.
He's the nothing.
So, but he's actually combined with the Horn King from Chronicles of Prydain, which actually was kind of inspired by Sauron, because he's out there, but you don't know much about him in some ways.
Sauron has no speaking lines in the book.
And so is
that what you're talking about?
Yeah, they combined him with another character. They combined him with another character that was Arwan the Death Lord from the Chronicles of Prydain, which I now want to read. But anyway, so he doesn't have... I mean, he's supposed to be this magician, but if you watch the film, he doesn't really use his magic much. He uses it once to basically teleport into the dining hall.
It's been so long
until
since I've seen
he
gets
I can't remember the Black Cauldron. But I think, again, one of the reasons he's ruthless, he's merciless, there's no humor to him, he's cold, he's collected. He only shows anger one time. So he's emotionless, which makes him that much more terrifying. Because he's killing left and right. He's draining the life out of this kingdom to power the Black Cauldron. Because once he gets the Black Cauldron, he brings back the undead servants. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, and I know the Black Cauldron was never considered a Disney classic. I think it's because it's too adult.
I was going to say, the Black Cauldron, in terms of Disney animation, is probably the one single case, and you all correct me if you think I'm wrong, where it doesn't feel like a Disney movie.
No, I don't think it does at all.
It very much feels, and they were trying to feel that out. They were because this is before they woke Sleeping Beauty.
Which is a great documentary, but the problem with the documentary is I think they shit a little too much on the Black Cauldron, which is not a bad movie.
It's not a bad movie.
It's just not what you would expect from Disney.
Because the scene where, spoiler, the Horn King does manage to wake the army of the dead effectively.
Oh God, it's a creepy scene.
And I mean, you see that stuff, and I care less about Moogie or whatever the thing is, the creature that helps them, whatever. And actually, Taran, the kid, but the Horn King sticks with you as this, because I'm like, I just don't want to meet that guy. Like Hades, they do him at the theme park, and I'm like, I want my picture with Hades.
Yeah.
Somebody pops up as the Horn King. Burn that MF.
Not going to happen.
No.
But and speaking of Ratigan, they took Ratigan out of the park. Ratigan used to be a walk-around character, but in 1996, they stopped doing it because parents complained too much that Ratigan as a character scared the children.
Oh, for the love of God.
And so he hasn't been out since 1996. So I'm hoping one day, hey Disney, if you happen to listen to this, and I'm sure
technically, if you go to Disneyland's where they will do the obscure ones and bring them out from time to time, but you never know who it's going to be or when it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, and the
Disney for Disney Files, whatever you want to call them, Disney World's a pretty set kind of thing.
Disney World, the exception is the marathons.
Okay.
If you go in the marathon, because they had I don't know if it's still this theme, but they had a Donald Duck themed marathon. And now they're bringing him out more because they're getting ready to do it as a cartoon. But for a long time, if you ran the Donald Duck Marathon, if it was a duck-based character, they would have him out. So they had Darkwing Duck was at like the halfway point.
Yeah.
And that was the only way
you would only ever see Darkwing that way. You get to see Scrooge at Christmas.
Yeah, and that's now Scrooge is out more often because of DuckTales.
Woohoo.
But so the other thing about the Horn King is, you look at some Disney villains, there's conspiracy, right? They're like, I'm going to slowly work this plan. Horn King doesn't bother with that. He says his intentions outright. I'm going to become a god between mortal men. He wants to put men against each other. He wants chaos. He wants everybody to suffer. He wants to be the god that causes suffering. And you hear that, again, there's no humor, no evil laughs. He's just terror.
Okay.
And so he's one of my second. I mean, as far as villainy, hard to beat the Horn King. Maybe not the best film.
I was going to say, when I was thinking of your all's list, so far I'm not shocked because I'm like, That's how I thought I might get Hades, because James had Radigan and he had the Horned King. So
I can't remember the one. I mean, I need to go back and watch
his number 3, though, I'm a little confused by what.
Are they going to do? I wonder if will Black Cauldron be on Disney?
It is on. I got it on my watch list because I'm going to watch it again.
Oh, is it on?
It's on there.
And actually, I
was about to
so is the Journey of Nettie Gann.
I'm actually really excited about watching The Flight of the Navigator because I haven't seen it.
It's on my queue too.
Yeah, and I want to watch scenes in the black hole. Just scenes.
It's pretty.
I know it's pretty.
Never seen it.
It's pretty.
You haven't seen Slim Pickens help become a robot?
Yeah.
Okay, now I gotta watch it just for that.
Oh,
I didn't know. No.
You've never seen it?
He's the voice.
I've never seen the black hole.
He's a Western robot in space. Why would you not have that?
Hold on. I've never seen a black hole.
It's 3 hours long.
No, I don't think it's the absence of light, Chad. Really, I mean, if you're at the event horizon of a black hole, let's get into some astronomy.
And if you
here.
go into the event horizon where you're going, you won't need eyes.
I'm a Pisces.
All right, boys.
I'm actually a Cancer, but
on everyone.
This is why I never tell anybody I'm a Cancer, because it just leads me to that.
All right, I'm going to go for a funny one for the second one. For our YouTube listeners, yeah, I said listeners. Who am I?
I am shocked you're bringing that one.
Why?
He's
voiced by one of the great character actors of all time.
First for YouTube, for our listeners, you need to tell us who you're going to talk about.
I am talking about Prince John from Robin Hood, which was one of my favorite Disney movies as a kid, and it's another one that I don't think quite holds up. It's not one of their best ones.
Actually, no, I love it, though, and I will still defend it. I can watch it anytime it's on. I love
scenes in it. I could hear Jeremy Miracle say, "Oh, nutsy."
My dad, one of his favorite lines of all time, and he's used it outside of the context, and if people don't know the context, they don't know it, but is the line, "You deliberately dodged." And it's where Prince John, the Sir Hiss,
Sir Hiss is another great character.
His snake assistant, he's mad and he wants to hit somebody, and he swings at Sir Hiss, and he dodges and literally doesn't break a beat. Prince John says, Sir Hiss, you deliberately dodged. And because he can't believe. And it's played for a laugh, but at the same time, you know, it's the idea of I'm royalty. Nothing gave you the right to avoid getting hit by me. How dare you? And my dad has actually quoted that several times. You deliberately dodged.
One of the reviews I was reading was talking about how the Robin Hood is probably not one of their greatest animated films. It's not. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. It's better than The Fox and the Hound.
Yeah, I agree with that.
By the way, I've came to a realization.
What?
The Fox and the Hound, and send me hate mail, go ahead, may be my least favorite Disney film.
I enjoyed it as a child, but I think remembering I had the Golden Book.
Yeah.
And remembering, I probably never even watched the movie. I'm remembering the Golden Book in my head.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked.
Yeah.
And then I had it on tape, and I think that's what I liked. I never watched the movie. But getting right back, before you finish it, no matter what you feel, Prince John is a distinct three-dimensional character in that movie.
Yeah.
And Peter Ustinov, the great character actor, Peter Ustinov.
Also Mother Throne. And Blackbeard's Ghost.
brings him to life in a way that probably had never been brought before, right? He's a sniveling little child. Now, a lot of people have played Prince John to be arrogant and all these things.
Yeah, like Richard Lewis.
Yeah, Richard Lewis.
A spoon.
A spoon. Why a spoon, cousin? It's hard for me not to look and smile. And it brings a smile to my heart. And there's another one. Now wait. Back and forth.
You all said a spoon. That's the sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah, that's what he said.
No, it's my
okay.
spoon.
And I just wanted to...
Jackasses got me all confused.
Yeah. I'll be in my room.
With my braces.
And with
a needle and a spoon. Taking a trip to the moon while you have your braces. That's the way that song originally went. So, Chad...
Why did you put Forrest Gump's braces in your mouth?
I don't really have a lot to say. I don't have a lot to say about a lot of them. I just feel like I will let you know Peter Ustinov, great character actor. Check it out. Most of you already know the story of Robin Hood. I think Robin Hood is, to me...
It's overdone.
To me, the two biggest, most overdone stories of all time. It's not Dracula. It's not... to me, it's Robin Hood and King Arthur.
You know what's funny about that, though? And I agree, but I think
every 3 years we get another flippin' shitty Robin Hood or King Arthur.
For some reason... I let Robin Hood get away with it. And I think, you know why I let Robin Hood get away with it?
Why?
Because
I think it's a Disney movie. Because I saw that Disney movie, and then I immediately read, I think I was 7 or 8 years old, and I went and got Howard Pyle's Robin Hood translation.
And then he got Pyle's.
And then I read it. And then I asked my dad if Gomer Pyle knew Howard Pyle. No, that's a lie. But, golly!
Golly, Robin Hood!
Golly, Andy!
But no,
he does it so much better.
And I think that's one of the
things. And he's the one that didn't watch Andy Griffith growing up.
I think that's probably why we don't do it as well. We have
too much respect for the Gestalt. Holy shit! No one saw that sentence coming.
But no, I think that's why. I think because I want to get back to that thrill, because I can remember, and actually, to be honest, now that I have kids, the stupid scene that gets me the most in that movie is when the little rabbit kid, they realize she's left behind, and he goes back to save her, and I'm like, that's a hero. And like I said, it's just because I have kids now, it's easier to get to me, and. Who voices Robin Hood in that? Because I think he does a great job.
Can I tell you there's only 2 good Robin Hood films? There's only 2. In my opinion.
Is one of them going to be Errol Flynn?
Yes.
What's the other one?
That is a brilliant movie. That movie is so much fun to watch.
The shadow fight on the scene.
That movie is still, 80 years on, fun to watch and entertaining. I mean,
I still won't let Errol Flynn near my children.
Well, no, look at almost 90. We're getting 90. Almost 90 years. It's still entertaining and holds up.
What's the second one?
And the Disney one.
Oh.
That's the only 2 I could give her
I'll be honest with you.
Watch.
The Disney animated movie I've never been a fan of. I like the opening sequence. But I really can't chime in on the Robin Hood It's just not one of my favorites.
Well, I don't know if it's one of my favorites either, but I love characters.
Now, actually, interesting thing though, the Robin Hood movie is very important to early internet fads. Because Whistle Stop from Robin Hood, performed, of course, by the greatest musician the world has ever known.
Holy shit. Oh, what's his name? It's
Roger Miller.
Roger Miller. I forgot.
Roger Miller.
It does also have Roger Miller. There's some great voices.
Roger Miller, though.
He's the chicken, right?
Goober.
Yeah, he's the bard. Which
Goober. What the hell was Goober's real name?
Oh.
George Lindsay also does a voice. And, of course, George Lindsay did several voices for Disney.
Yeah. But,
there's a George Lindsay story I want to tell, but I'm not going to.
But anyway,
is it really dirty? Because most of them are.
It's very
Have you
dirty.
ever heard about some of the stories about Frances Bavier?
Yeah.
From the show? Oh, she's shutting him down because he has a filthy mouth.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Behind the scenes.
Because
we should do a whole episode about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story about him working with what was his Grandpa Jones from Hee Haw.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story after we're done.
But anyway, no, just to make this just a point of trivia, the hamster dance, everybody, it's just a sped up version of Whistle Stop, which is from Roger Miller wrote it for Robin Hood.
Right. All right.
So it's the beginning of it. Da, 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 da.
Chad, who's your third?
Da, 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 da.
So I struggled with my third. It was between this one, and another one. But you said there's only 2 characters that outwardly killed in Disney movies. So I'm wondering if this is the second one. Syndrome from The Incredibles. Is he? Because he kills he kills superheroes. Is he not on? Is he not number 2?
I think the definition that the list I read used was they couldn't use a device. They had to physically be the one to do it themselves.
So I like The Incredibles, but I do not have an attachment to it. Now, is it because I didn't read comics?
It might be.
But I think Syndrome...
I've never bothered to watch the sequel
and not to steal
either.
your thunder, but I think one of the reasons Syndrome is an interesting villain is he's created by the hero.
Yeah. He's...
Like most Spider-Man villains, spoiler.
No, so The Incredibles... Syndrome is from The Incredibles from 2004. He was created by Brad Bird, voiced by Jason Lee, who's another one of those...
Who's went on to be with the God.
I love him as an actor. I wish he was in more stuff. No, Syndrome is your basic...
busy with Scientology.
Yeah. Syndrome is your basic comic book villain, but has a great backstory of a jilted child whose idol spurned him. Throughout the movie, he constantly gets the one-up. Constantly gets the one-up.
And he's brilliant, even as a kid.
Yeah, even as a kid. He's creating these amazing devices. And he's so wicked and evil just because his idol told him to go home.
And that, kids, is called toxic fandom. We don't have fans, toxic or otherwise.
We're toxic, but none of the we don't have any fans.
He kills multiple heroes just because the man told him to go home as a kid. He tried.
Go home, buddy.
And
I don't remember.
Oh, he says some of the most amazing scenes between him and Mr. Incredible, like when he is watching his family die in a plane wreck, and Syndrome is just laughing about it. Everything about Syndrome's evil. One of the reasons why it just appealed to me. Do you know he's not even the original villain for the movie?
Who was it?
Well, hold on. Syndrome was supposed to be just a minor part in the movie, similar to Bon Voyage.
Yeah, I was saying, because even Jason Lee said when he initially got the offer and did some recordings, he didn't know it was going to be that big of a part.
Yeah. The original villain was a guy called Zurich. He was just this old man. Old, feeble man. I don't know the backstory of why he was the villain. Other than it was still the same plot. He created the Omni Droids. However, when Bird started pitching the movie, he noticed that the producers of the movie really liked when he was doing Syndrome. So, as soon as he got that, he went back immediately and reworked the script to make him the main villain. And Zurich actually was not forgotten. Zurich actually became a more permanent villain. Apparently, I didn't even know there was an Incredible comic book done by Boom Studios. Yeah. And Zurich is one of the prominent villains in the comic book series now. But no, Zurich never got the light of day just because the producers really liked his explanation of Syndrome. So, it's just, out of all the Disney villains, I feel like Syndrome's kind of lost nowadays, even though he there is some prominence to him.
Yeah,
but he's
he
such a
show up on stuff.
No, and he's such a wicked villain.
You think it's because he doesn't have a great visual?
See, that's the problem. I think he does have a great visual.
With that what he looks like.
Flaming red hair, the white and black swirl costume,
the cape.
Who's that comedian? Oh, who was in? He's the. Oh, I can't think of his name. He basically looks like him. But keep going.
And I forget. I'm going to butcher the line, but when Jason Lee talks about when he sees the family together, he goes, "You married Elastigirl? And you got it on!" When he looks at the kids. I mean, just everything about the way Jason Lee delivers those lines, it's just pure wickedness. So that's my third pick.
My third one, I think, is... was actually at one point...
So Syndrome wasn't on your list?
No.
Okay.
My third pick that I'm going to go with, because I coin tossed a couple... But I'm going to pick because it was the one that Disney himself said he felt most represented Satan. Chernobog.
Oh, from Fantasia?
Yep. He is actually based on the god of night in Slavic mythology. So if you listen to that song and you watch it, it's supposed to take place on Walpurgis night, which is the witch's Sabbath. And in actual mythology, they animated it exactly as in mythology. He emerges from the peak of Bald Mountain, which is actually Mount Triglav in modern-day Slovenia, to summon all of his minions, and then he tosses his own minions into a fiery pit to punish them for being his minions.
What a dick.
That's not... they need to unionize. Anyway, he's been praised several times as Disney's best representation of pure evil. Even Disney himself said that's pretty much the best we're going to get. He was created by animator Vladimir Tilta, which actually came up last week. He was going to work on the Finnegan's Rainbow animated one. But he's considered a raw representation of evil.
Not Finnegan.
And why it works so much more is that there's not a real story there. It's all visual. And you don't know why he's doing what he does. You just know that he's evil. The background a little bit on that was, and Thomas and Ollie come up again, Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston said that there was never any other animator like Tilta. And that they were all intimidated by him. That he was just as intimidating as his creation, and he did a lot of different things. Matter of fact, some of his favorite animated work he did was scenes of disgust. When he worked on Snow White, the one thing he wanted to animate most of all that they let him animate was he wanted to show Grumpy's reaction to being kissed by Snow White, where he's initially repulsed and then kind of turns a corner. The other thing he's famous for animating for Fantasia is the other character that's a little bit intimidating and scary, which is Yen Sid, or the Sorcerer. So both of those, if you go back and watch that, the Sorcerer, Mickey has every right to be afraid. That Sorcerer looks like he could do some real damage. Oddly enough, one of Tilton's last works all connects back to the Andy Griffith Show. When he left Disney, they did the strike. He left. One of his last works was he was the directing animator for The Incredible Mr. Limpet for Warner Brothers. That was one of his last works. That being said, I think Chernabog is my favorite part of Fantasia. Well, yeah, the music works for all of it. I appreciate The Sorcerer's Apprentice. But oddly enough, Chernabog, now that the Disney villains have their own clothing line and everything, he is the center of that. If you look at the logo for it, Chernabog is obviously the big symbol.
I didn't even know the name.
Yeah, I didn't know.
And he is I still think he's just one of the most fascinating villains because he was animated to be. I mean, he controls all the evil and can summon it to him. I ain't gonna get much better than that.
Wasn't there supposed to be? And that's what I was looking up while you were talking. Wasn't there supposed to be a live-action movie based on this one segment? As of 2015, that's the only articles I can find of 2015.
You mean not the Sorcerer's Apprentice live-action movie? Which isn't, by the way, a terrible movie.
I need to watch that. I've never actually watched it.
I love that movie.
I don't love it, but it's not terrible.
And it has nothing
It's not as bad as people say it is.
Well, to me, and to be honest, I must say this, and I appreciate on some level...
I don't think John Turteltaub ever actually made a bad movie.
I appreciate on some level...
He made a lot of vanilla.
Well, I was going to say, I appreciate on some level the National Treasure movies, but...
I don't like them. They're directed by John Turteltaub.
But I appreciate... They're fun, and they're not historically accurate, but they're fun
I just don't...
to watch with my kids instead of watching them play Fortnite or watch videos of other kids opening toys. So I enjoyed them in that way, but I've realized I almost like The Sorcerer's Apprentice better, and I think it actually has more to do... And everybody's so you like Nick Cage. Actually... I think that world is interesting. That
it's Harry Potter light.
Mm-hmm. Well, but it's not that it's Harry Potter. Actually, I think in some ways, I liked where they actually made a point to say magic is just science better realized. The fact that he says you know what causes heat, now make that have heat and to catch the paper on fire, stuff like that, and you have to wear shoes so you're more connected to the ground and. I like all that stuff, and actually that's why I'm kind of sad we never got a sequel, because what happens at the very end of The Sorcerer's Apprentice...
Chad's got a good comeback about John Turteltaub. I don't remember.
His first movie. Think Big with the Barbarian Twins.
Yeah. It's not a terrible movie.
I haven't seen it. I just like the Barbarian.
You never seen it?
No.
It's their best movie.
DC Cab, you son of a bitch.
No, it's Think Big. It's got Richard Mole in it.
I'm going to punch you.
It's got Richard Mole in it. Dude. It has the Barbarian Twins and Richard Mole. And it has a terrible theme song. Think Big. Seriously, Google it.
But anyway,
Are you done?
Yes.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, try to beat Chernabog.
Well, I can't. So I've got two here. And I'm going to go with my favorite. Even though someone who I appreciate shares our show wrote a dissertation on our Facebook page. Thanks. I do appreciate that, Rachel. But... Scar.
Yeah. He's up there.
I mean, damn. Yeah. That's a great villain. Jeremy Irons is amazing in that role.
Every time I think of Jeremy Irons, though, I think of the Family Guy that makes fun of him, where it's like Jeremy Irons cereal. If you're looking for a prize inside, there is none. Our cereal tastes like cardboard. No prize. No prize.
So he has, he's second best, and he cannot let it go.
Yeah.
Long live the king.
Actually, and I love. And to me, he comes in kind of second place to Ratigan in this way, and here's what I'm getting at: is he is smarter than Mufasa.
Oh yeah.
No,
he even has that line.
He's just lazier with
He says he even has that line. He goes, "When it came to raw strength, you've got the lion's share, but I've got." And he's implying I'm smarter than you, and obviously, he was.
He is smarter than Mufasa. The thing is, I actually believe this. I've not watched which isn't live action. I don't even know what the hell you call those photorealistic remakes, whatever bullshit. I've not watched it. I've never heard, and I will eventually.
Made $11 billion.
Yeah. I didn't care for the other one, so I don't know why. I
once again, I will defend Aladdin because it's a Bollywood film.
I didn't watch Aladdin. I was talking about the other one that he did.
I'll give Will Smith credit. I mean,
what was the other one he did? What was the Jungle Book?
Jungle Book.
I it's pointless.
It was fun. I took it to the kids to see it. It was fun. Do I own it? No.
It's pointless. So the best Disney animated movie to me is The Lion King. It is the best to me. I understand, and I feel like I'm not the only one that he probably says that.
No, you're not.
It's from the performances to the animation to the story to the music by Elton John. Right? It is Elton John and that other guy. Nobody can ever remember
Bernard
his name.
Tappert?
It's
like
who wrote the lyrics. It is amazing. I didn't know this though.
My only problem, real quick, with The Lion King, while you were talking about that, is I really have a hard time with the I Can't Wait to Be King song, and then him being shocked that his dad died. Like, you just did a 4-minute number about how you can't wait till your dad died, and then your dad died, and you're all shocked about it.
Yeah. So be prepared.
I do love that song.
I love that song.
The performance is so good that when Irons couldn't record the final verse of Be Prepared, the voice actor Jim Cummings had to step in. Did you know that?
No.
The disconnect was made all the more jarring. Irons really was indispensable. And if you go back and listen to it, it's Jim Cummings.
Why couldn't he do the last line?
He just wasn't able to do it.
For no reason? No.
I don't think he could do it.
Oh, he couldn't reach that level.
He couldn't do that. Yeah, Be Prepared. It's Jim Cummings.
Wow.
Darkwing
Duck.
Iron imbues Scar with a sense of wounded pride as the brother who was never expected or asked to become king of Pride Rock and a snappy sense of humor.
And The Lion King's not my all-time favorite Disney film.
No, it's not.
But that song,
it's right up there with Frollo's.
That song is one that I actually use, and I don't think I'm the villain by any means.
Well, you're the villain in somebody's story.
That's true.
Everybody is.
And you're right, I am coming for you. Anyway, everything I do is out to get you.
No,
I've just paid a psychiatrist rent for a month.
Now I'm trying to think of who am I the villain?
Everybody is somebody's villain.
But I use that song sometimes just to psych myself up because I like the way it sounds. I mean, it's a villain song, but the idea of, once I get my due, my teeth and ambition are bared, be prepared. And there's just something about that lyric that I love. Yeah,
Scar. It also one of the classic best Disney death scenes of all time.
Yeah.
Well, and also though, quite frankly, I think that song, the quote unquote video of that song. I mean, you have goose-stepping hyenas in the background. They didn't go too far for why that would automatically trigger a response.
Yeah.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Honorable mentions.
Okay. So my honorable mentions. Scar was one of my honorable mentions, and so was Yzma.
Yeah.
Yzma. Yzma. Yeah, you're right. Hopper from Bug's Life.
Yeah, even though Bug's Life is the Seven Samurai. Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is.
It's all.
But I love it. Bug's Life.
Wasn't it just like last year? I said that to you. And go, oh my God.
Maybe.
Hold on.
You don't remember this?
Let me make somebody's head explode. I prefer ants.
Oh.
Actually, the one line I love in Ants is Woody Allen, which, by the way,
I like Ants, but
Ants has that great line where Woody Allen's character, I think, is trying to get back at Sharon Stone's character, and how he comes up with, "You were going to be in all my erotic fantasies, but you can forget about that now." And I just love that line. I've never got to use it, but I love that line.
Jafar from Aladdin.
Jafar's good
because Aladdin's probably my favorite Disney movie of all time. Maybe not. I don't know. Tex Richmond from the Muppets.
Yeah, another great song.
Maniacal laugh. And then, of course, Judge Doom.
I thought you were going to put Judge Doom on there.
I thought about it, but because I talked about him ad nauseum in the detective show, I was like, eh. And plus, when I'm thinking of Disney movies, I did go the animated route, even though that was a conversation that got brought up.
I know that's a Disney movie, kind of.
It's half, yeah.
But I also never consider it a Disney movie.
Yeah.
Well, so as far as villains for me, I think I think that the real villains that come up.
James, we got 6 minutes.
I know. I think the one I will bring up is I'll answer the trivia question.
Yeah, because I still don't know who you're considering.
Well, this is from a list, but
because Scar and Syndrome both killed.
But actually, my wife and I had this debate because I thought Scar as well. I was like, wait, didn't he? And Dana said he caused him to fall, but you could argue that Scar just made him fall. The Stampede killed him.
But he falls all the way and he lets him go. Yeah. He's the one. He's got his claws into him.
Oh yeah.
I disagree.
Anyway,
with your wife.
The other one is the one that directly killed. Other one is Lyle Tiberius Rourke, who is from Atlantis. And I haven't seen this in a while, so I had to look up how he kills.
I've only ever seen it once.
And I remember the scene now. James Garner does the voice, by the way, of Rourke. And Rourke throws off. They're getting away, and they don't have enough. There's too much weight. One of those type situation. He throws off a member of his own crew who has been a character you've been following. He throws her off, and as she falls to her death, as she's dying, she picks up a flare gun and shoots him down. Or tries to, and he makes it, but that causes him to snap even more, and he starts threatening everybody.
I don't remember any of that.
So I think that's, I again, not my favorite Disney film, but my other favorite villain that I have to mention, and it's just because I love the song. It's the song. It's actually probably my favorite Disney film just to watch, and I know this is not overly machismo, is Beauty and the Beast. And I think the reason Beauty and the Beast works for me is I love Gaston. Gaston is everybody that I hate. Yeah. He's egotistical. He's sexist.
Yeah, but I hate Gaston.
Yeah. Well, but he's.
I don't hate him in a way I love to hate.
But no,
I love to hate Scar.
I think that's why, because I understand Scar. Scar is smarter. He makes a bad plan, but he's smarter. So you could make the argument there is a part of him that could rule.
Actually, the problem with Scar is not a bad plan. He just didn't have the follow through to take out the cub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but then he really doesn't have the plan to feed people. Like, he promises a hyena food, and he realizes that doesn't actually work. So his plan is messed up. But Gaston, there's nothing redeeming about Gaston.
No.
He's egotistical. So when Gaston dies, it's the best. But I also love Gaston's song. No one fights like Gaston. It's stupid. It's egotistical. And the fact that that's what cheers him up is being reminded how great he is. I love to hate Gaston.
I'm curious. None of you said Captain Hook.
I'm not a fan of Peter Pan.
You know what? Actually, Captain Hook.
I like Peter Pan. Well, I haven't watched it in a long time. And that's another one that's slightly overdone, too, by the way.
Captain Hook, I understand, though. I think Captain Hook's interesting. Especially,
but isn't that a reason to like him?
Yeah. But
I'm just curious. You know, we named a lot of big ones on here.
Though, effectively.
Captain Hook's fun. He's funny. He has a reason to hate him.
Yeah. And matter of fact, if you go and watch all the Tinkerbell movies, especially the most recent one where he was voiced...
Which I'm trying never to do.
He's voiced by Loki. What's Loki's name?
Tom Hiddleston?
Tom Hiddleston voices young Captain Hook. And it all makes sense, and you see the betrayal of the fairies versus the pirate. It's actually pretty well done. I give him credit to try to shoehorn these mythologies together. And you understand why Tinkerbell can talk in one and not the other. Anyway, all that's fun. But I think the reason is that Hook has a reason to be mad, but he's also a bumbling idiot.
Yeah, I like that about him.
That's what I mean. But so why didn't you pick it?
He's on my alternate.
Because to me, I'm like, it's just that's a guy. That's just a guy. No, I agree.
Like about him.
But see, I like villains that I can love to hate.
Yeah.
He's got a crocodile after his ass. What wouldn't you like about that?
Like, all three of my villains are just vile for the sake of being vile. And that's why I like them.
Yeah.
Which is the reason why you are the way you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people hate
me. Like,
filled with vile. Or bile.
The villains...
Which one made you get braces?
The villains...
the shitty dentist when I was 4.
The villains... that stick with me are the ones that I like. The Horn King is actually scary. Ratigan is actually brilliant and has been successful.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that stick with me. And if it's just like, oh, Captain Hook, I could punch him in the face and get away. That's not a villain to me.
Well, guys, no offense, but let's try to have one that isn't 2 hours long this week.
Yeah. Let's go for it.
You want to try?
Yeah, let's try.
All right. Anything else?
Next week we do best DreamWorks villains.
Actually, next few we're going to have some interviews, which is really exciting. So, yeah. I don't know why I turned into bad Jack Nicholson at the end. So, thank you so much.
You couldn't even be good Jack Palance.
If you have arguments, tell us.
And we'll promptly file them in our ignore file. That's not true. We'd love to hear you on Twitter, Facebook, Face Jam, Space Jam.